All right, good afternoon. Welcome, everybody. We are so excited to have you here to the Santa Barbara CalSUP College Fair. We have some fantastic schools here with us today as well as tomorrow for our college fair. We're looking forward to getting you introduced to everybody and having a great time together. My name is Laura. I'm going to be your facilitator for today. But before we get started, just have a couple housekeeping items, and then I'm going to turn it over to our presenters. So you've probably already noticed this, but your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. However, we still want to hear your questions. We want to be hearing your thoughts about the presentation, so please use that Q&A button. You can use that to ask a question throughout the entire session. Don't feel like you need to hold it towards the end. Just feel free to be dropping those in as they come up. Again, this is just one of many different sessions. We actually have another panel happening right after this one. And then we have our college fair kicking off tomorrow as well. So be sure to check out the schedule on the website. And this presentation is being recorded and will be available at strivescan.com/CalSUP, as well as all of the other sessions for today. And you'll see them tomorrow as well. So now I would like to kick it over to our MC for tonight. Rachel, take it away.
Thank you, Laura. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our virtual college fair. Thank you for joining us this evening. We have some very special guests speaking about very important information that could benefit you all. So for our first portion, we'll have speakers presenting on topics that surrounds applying to California state universities, UCs, city colleges, and private universities. And for the second portion, panelists will present on financial aid, scholarships, career and technical education opportunities, as well as the SBCC promise. Even if you didn't register for the second portion, you are more than welcome to stick around. I can promise you that this information will benefit you for any pathway you choose to take. As far as questions go, please feel free to use our Q&A option below. This is where we will be answering any and all questions. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and introduce our first speaker, Caitlin Ellison with Cal State University Channel Islands.
Perfect, thank you so much. Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Caitlin Ellison. I am an admission counselor at CSU Channel Islands, but I will be going over some general CSU information today and be going over a few details about our Cal State Apply application. Next slide. Thank you. So as you can see, we are all over the place. We are 23 strong. There are 23 CSU campuses, and every campus has something different to offer our students, whether that be location, size, and what you can study. So if you haven't already started on your college journey, I recommend checking out the CSU websites. There are a lot of details about our universities, general information, as well as Cal State Apply information. One of the best pages that I like about the CSU website is our CSU degree search. So if you don't know what you want to study, or maybe you are still looking at different universities and where you want to go, I recommend going to that CSU degree search to kind of figure out maybe what other options you might have or other universities you might be interested in. Next slide. So what do you need to get into a CSU campus? So this is the foundation, or the bare minimum you need to be eligible to apply to a CSU campus. Now, of course, this will not get you into all the CSUs. Some are very competitive, but this is just the general basis. So you need to graduate from high school, complete your A through G requirements. If you're a California high school graduate, you need to have a 2.5 CSU GPA or higher. Non-California high school graduate, a 3.0 CSU GPA or higher. And as many of you know, for fall 2022, the CSU system is not using the ACT or SAT for admissions purposes. Now, if I do have any juniors here, fall 2023, the CSU system has not announced if they're using the SAT or ACT yet, so please wait for that announcement, hopefully coming soon. Do know you have to complete your A through Gs with a C- or better, but we are accepting credit or pass grades for winter 2020 through summer 2021, so you should be in letter grades this year. Next slide. Now, how do you apply to a CSU campus? So we are not on the Common App. We do not use this UC app. We use our own application through Cal State Apply, and you can access our application at calstate.edu/apply. So what do you need to apply? So to complete our application, there are no essays, There are no letters of recs, and there is no in-depth extracurricular activities needed to apply to our application. You really just need your CSU A through G courses. It is one application that you will fill out, and then you will send that one application to all the different institutions that you are applying for. You will pay $70 per school you send that application to. There is a fee waiver embedded in Cal State Apply. Once you have filled out all your information and are ready to submit, a button will illuminate that will say check my fee waiver status. You'll click that status. It will check all the information you've input into your Cal State Apply application. If you are eligible for the fee waiver, it will grant you 4 CSU applications for free. If you're not applying to 4, that's okay. I encourage you to apply for 4. If you apply for 5, you get 4 for free and you pay for 1. That's how that fee waiver works. If you are not eligible and you do need help or things have changed financially for you, please reach out to each individual CSU campus regarding their fee waiver appeal process. Please make sure that you are checking your email frequently. We will be emailing you with your student portal information after you apply. You'll be getting updated information about any deadlines, any documents needed, in progress transcripts. So please make sure you are checking your email. Next slides, please. And this is kind of my cheat sheet of what you should have in front of you, available to you while you are filling out the application. The first thing, and the most important, is your unofficial transcripts. Please reach out to your counselors, your records office, your registrars, your college and career counselors to get a hold of your unofficial transcripts. I like to have paper. I think it's much easier to do all that in paper because you'll be inputting all of your courses there. Have your test scores, social security number, citizenship status, a method of payment. You might need your parent or guardian information as well. If you are applying to our Educational Opportunity Program, EOP, all 23 of our CSU campuses have this program. So this application is embedded in Cal State Apply in the supplemental information section. You may need more of your parents' information. You will also need letters of rec and some short answers to apply to this program, but that is not needed for general admissions. And I do recommend reporting your California statewide student ID, which is located on your unofficial transcript. Next slide. So once you are ready to go, you'll go to Cal State Apply and make sure you are choosing fall 2022 to make sure you are applying for the correct term. Next slide. You will create your account. As I mentioned, please make sure you are inputting a valid email address, make sure the spelling's correctly, and make sure you are checking it regularly. So if that is your Gmail, your Yahoo, if you're going to create a new email just for college applications, whatever it may be, but make sure you are checking that email and inputting a valid phone number as well, as we do phone campaigns and text message campaigns to keep you up to date on deadlines. And this is what your extended profile should look like. So after you have created your account, it will send you to extended profile page. Please make sure, take a screenshot, take a picture, go to this recording. This is what your extended profile should look like if you are applying as a first-time freshman. And this is to set up your application. So you all should be applying as a first bachelor's degree, graduating high school senior or equivalent. You will indicate if you have earned any college credit, whether you've taken courses at the college or through dual enrollment. You'll indicate yes. If not, you'll indicate no. No to returning, your military status, and you should be indicating no for your residency for your international visa. And so this is what will set up your entire program, or application, I should say. Next slide. Next, you'll be able to add all your programs. I do recommend using the search or the filter function to search through, because there are 23 campuses and many of us have hundreds of different programs you can apply for. So it is best to either search by the campus you are applying for or through the major that you are searching for. You will add your programs to your application by clicking that plus button, but please make sure that you are reading what major you are applying as. Make sure you know that it's a BA or BS, that it says fall 2022, that it says main campus, and it is, again, the correct campus that you are applying for. And please make note of the different deadlines this year. There are a few of us that are going to be due on November 30th. Additionally, there are some of us that are going to be due December 15th, and there are a few of us with different deadlines, such as San Francisco State due at the end of December and Humboldt and East Bay due in February. So it's really important that you make note of these deadlines and mark your calendars accordingly. Next slide. Once you have that all set up, it will create your 4 quadrants. So for the mean of time, I'm going to just be focusing on the academic history section. Next slide. So I just want to give you some tips. You are going to be inputting all of your high school coursework, report all high schools attended, make sure you're only putting your A through G courses. Do not put your non-A through G courses. We don't want to see health. We don't want to see PE. You can indicate your middle school coursework in 7th and 8th grade if you did complete any math, which is algebra or higher, or an English language other than English level 1 or higher if you need to meet those A through G requirements. Next slide. You will be adding each semester manually. So you will need to indicate 9th grade and put in all your coursework. You need to indicate the green check mark to make sure that you are inputting those courses correctly. So you also need to report your 12th grade coursework. Yes, we know you don't have your grades yet, so you will report them as in progress and planned, but you will need to report your 12th grade work to show that you are completing your A through Gs. But this is just an example of how you will input these courses. Make sure you're choosing from that drop-down menu because it will automatically assign your courses to the A through G areas. If you do need any help with this, of course, reach out to me, reach out to any of our other admission counselors at the institutions you're applying for, or even better, your high school counselors. They are there for you. They're there to help you with filling out this application. Next slide. If you have any college coursework, as I mentioned, if you've earned any college credit or taken any dual enrollment courses, you will also report your college and you'll indicate those college courses accordingly. Next slide. It will look very similar to the high school section where you'll go from a drop down. You'll also indicate your tests. If you do not have any of these tests, you will state that accordingly. But you will also report any future tests. So if you haven't taken any yet, but you're going to be taking AP exams, you can report those here as well. Next slide. Perfect. And you will also have a summary section that will go over your A through Gs. So that is the academic history section, a very brief overview. So please reach out to us if you have any other questions on that. But I do just want to give you a quick example of what it looks like when a section is complete, when it's not complete. It seems pretty straightforward, but you're going to be going through this application, filling each section out, and your goal is to get those nice green check marks, right? As I mentioned, the supporting information is going to have the EOP application, so you will want to apply to that accordingly. Next slide. As I mentioned with the fee waiver, so once you've actually put in all of your coursework, you've submitted all of your information, and you're about to submit, a button will illuminate, they'll say check my fee waiver status, and you will either receive eligible for 4 or not eligible, and it will give you a link to more information as needed. Also, throughout all of our pages, there will be hyperlinks to more information on our CSU website if more help is needed. Next slide. Also, right before you submit, I should say right before, there is a summary page, and it will indicate if there's anything incorrect in red with yellow triangles. So we are really trying to make this as easy as possible for everybody. And if something is missing, if you're missing an A through G, you only reported 3 years of English. Oh, I forgot my 12th grade. You need to go back to this application. At any point, you can go back and change your programs, change your course grades, whatever you need to do, you can change until you hit submit. As soon as you hit submit, you cannot change anything on this application. So my recommendation is to take your time, again, have all of your documents in front of you just to keep yourselves organized. Next slide. And this is a timeline of what you can expect from the CSU system. So as mentioned, this is app season. Most of our applications will be due November 30th, some in December, some a little bit later. But typically it's going to be this fall. You're going to have your time to submit your application. We will start to send out provisional admissions based on your self-reported information starting in January. But we typically have between about January to mid to late March to get out all of our provisional admissions. So if you are applying to multiple campuses, take your time, get all those responses before you commit to your campus. April's a very fun month. That's open house month, I like to call it. All the different institutions will be hosting these open house events or spring insight events, and they're for students to really help you learn more about the institution, either get excited about where you've been committed to, or help you make that decision if you're kind of teetering on a couple of different choices. So I definitely recommend checking out those April events at CSUCI. It's called Admitted Dolphin Day. Everyone's called something a little bit different. You will need to commit actually to a campus by May 2nd this year. May 1st is a Sunday, so it'll be May 2nd. And then once you've committed to a campus, you're gonna fulfill all your 12th grade work. Yes, your 12th grade work still counts, so make sure you are not getting senioritis. You can apply for housing as needed, and then you'll send your transcripts and attend orientation in the summertime, where you will be enrolling in your coursework and starting with whatever institution you've committed to in the fall. Next slide. And I know I went over that very briefly. I only had 15 minutes, but if you do have any questions, please reach out to me. This is my personal email. We also have virtual admissions pages. Each campus is going to be doing different kind of app workshops. So definitely reach out to any CSU campus that you are applying for help with inputting your courses. But I wish everyone the best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Caitlin, for presenting on the CSU application process. Now we will go ahead and move on to the UC application process, who will be presented by Kuka Acosta.
Thanks, Rachel. Hi, everyone. I'm Kuka Acosta with the University of California, Santa Barbara. I'm excited to share a little bit about the University of California as an overview, and then pop in some opportunities to share about the application itself. Do you have questions about the application? Then use the Q&A feature so that I know what to share with you. So on the next slide, you're going to see that the University of California, we're 9 undergraduate campuses. Oh, you knew that? Awesome. Now I want you to look at all 9 campuses to really see the differences between them. From the campus up north, Davis, Berkeley, Merced, Santa Cruz, to the campuses south of us, LA, Riverside, Irvine, and San Diego. What you're going to find is that all of us are essentially tier 1 research institutions. What does that mean? Well, as you're looking at majors and as you're looking at what you want to study, recognize that the University of California will be looking at who, what, where, when, why. It's critical thinking and problem solving. Our goal, our ambition is that you look at the campuses that have the majors that you want to study. You don't know what you want to study? Note that all the campuses allow undeclared as an option, and even some campuses give you undeclared in certain areas. Maybe you're interested in engineering, but you don't know which one. So you're going to go to Davis, where undeclared engineering is an option. Also note that when it comes to the different campuses, size will vary. So if you're looking at a smaller campus like Merced, you've got about, well, less than 10,000 students. And then you're looking at a larger campus like UCLA, you've got about 40,000 students. And there's everything in between. Our goal, our ambition is that you look at the campuses and reflect inwards, asking, what is the right fit for me? Now, when you know you want to submit an application, here are some fun facts about us. Let's go on the next slide. You're going to find that across the 9 undergraduate UC campuses, about 40% of our students are first in their family to go to college. Now, we consider this first gen. And first generation students mean that mom and dad do not have a 4-year college degree. Wait, but my brother does. Well, then you're still first gen. Well, my uncle does. You are still first gen. Again, mom and dad, guardians, your parent or guardians, they don't have a 4-year university degree. About 82% of our students across the different UC campuses are also California residents. So we are looking at California students. You are the majority of our student body across all of our campuses. And while some students come in as first-year freshman students coming right out of high school, we also have a transfer admissions path. And while some students know that the promise through Santa Barbara City College is a great opportunity, they already have that in their minds as an option. So we want you to know that for every 2 freshmen that come in from California, we will also be enrolling 1 California transfer student. This is the University of California promise, our 2-to-1. So many students know, okay, transfer, I got this. Well, did you also know that 6 of the 9 UC campuses have a transfer admissions guarantee? What? Did your ears perk up? Uh-huh. Well, the guarantee doesn't exist at the freshman level. It does exist at the transfer level on 6 campuses, Santa Barbara being one of them, Davis, Irvine, Riverside. Yep, guarantees for transfer students from any and all California community colleges. Yay! I know, isn't it exciting? But you're here to talk about freshman admission, so let's do that. On the next slide, you're going to find that the University of California application for the class of 2022, hey, my seniors, that application's been open and active since August 1st. Oh, you haven't started it yet. I'm not mad at you. Note that the application, while it was open back in August, the submit button just became active on Monday, November 1st. Okay, sounds good. When you're looking at the application, where do you find it? Well, you'll find it at apply.universityofcalifornia.edu. Don't worry, I'm going to add these links into the chat box for you. Within the application process, you can apply to as many of the UC campuses as you want. So if I want to apply to, maybe Santa Barbara and also Davis, I can do that. Why, of course, my friends, just recognize that for any application you want to be evaluated, we will be charging you $70. Oh, ouch. Steep. I know. And so for those of you who need it, we too have a fee waiver within our UC application. The UC application fee waiver gives you the option and opportunity to enter your income, your family income, and your family size. And then boop, 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 we'll tell you automatically in the application if you qualify, getting 4 campuses free of charge. Now, I'll point out that that fee waiver is for my US students, including my AB 540 eligible students. I see you, my undocumented students, and I love you equally. Within the application process, you have until midnight Pacific time on November 30th to push submit. Did you hear me? Midnight, November 30th is the last time in which you can apply. Now, I will share with you that when you submit the application, the date, be it today, tomorrow, next week, or November 30th, that is not a factor in the admissions process. But should you wait until the last minute? Ask yourself that question. Oh, you answered it with no? Well, that's the right answer, my friends. All right, on the next slide, what do you need to know as you pick your campus? Well, think about size, think about location. Think about who has your majors. So size, again, we talked about large campuses and small campuses. Location, do you want to be a little bit further away from home? Are you looking for something in your backyard? Hey, there's options and opportunities. On the next slide, I want to give you some support programs. Many of these are things that students will talk about in their application in different sections. So I want you to know that these support services exist on all 9 UC campuses for both our freshmen and our transfer students. We have support programs for our students who are coming in with learning disabilities or physical disabilities. We have our undocumented student services, including free legal immigration services on all 9 campuses. Our former foster youth will have guardian scholar programs. There's also programs for our LGBTQ+ students, and of course, many more options. So if you're thinking, hey, that's my life right now, and do I share that with you? The answer is yes, my friends. The University of California application is a holistic admissions. So the more you share with us in the Office of Admissions, the more power I have to say, let's admit this one because they're amazing and fabulous, and I want them on my campus. So recognize that as you're working through these particular applications, sharing, it's caring. Okay, so let's talk about those fun and exciting processes for admissions. On the next slide, you're going to find that we have 2 paths. Path number 1 is for our freshman students. And again, holistic admissions. So we do not read letters of recommendation. We do not allow for transcripts. One more time, no supplemental documents. Instead, we will be looking at the coursework you've completed, those A through G requirements that my friend very graciously went over during her CSU presentation. And in occasions, there's also going to be your major that could be a factor. I'm applying as an engineer to UCSB. Your major will be a factor. I'm a political science major. Your major is not a factor. Now, transfer admissions is coming in with 60 semester credits. It's coming in with your opportunity to have some major preparation in place. Transfer admissions is going to be specific on a major because you can't come in as undeclared. So your GPA, your units, your preparation for your major, all of that's going to count. A little less for the UC system about that holistic admissions there, but still relevant when it comes to major selection. Okay, are you stressed? No, my friends, we're here to help. On the next slide, let's talk about those admissions criteria. And I showcase to you the UC application URL. Are you making note of it? apply.universityofcalifornia.edu. All right, next slide. So freshman admissions is two parts, those academic A through G requirements and a GPA. 2 parts, that's it. Next slide. So those A through G requirements, as already situated and shared with you, are inclusive of 7 academic subjects completed by the end of senior year. Now, we will be asking you to complete these with a grade of C or better. I know, there's some pass and fails and credit, no credit. We'll talk about that in a moment. But here's what I want to point out. As you're entering your courses into the UC application, we will be looking at how you challenged yourself. And that's going to vary from one student to the other. So for that student who struggled through chemistry, yeah, that's me. Maybe failed chemistry, yeah, that's me. Maybe who had to retake chemistry, yeah, that was me. Okay, well, 2 years of science, what did you do instead? Where are your strengths? Where did you choose to maybe take an honors or an AP class? You did dual enrollment through City College? Tell me more. In the application process, we ask what was available to you academically, and then what did you take advantage of? And sharing that context in the application's additional information, amazing and definitely helpful when it comes to our evaluation. Next slide. So that GPA requirement, what is it? Well, our California students have a requirement of a 3.0 weighted from sophomore and junior year. That is inclusive of the summer after 9th grade, the summer after 10th grade, and or the summer after 11th grade if you took any summer school work. As I said, pass, no pass, credit, no credit. We consider these our COVID or pandemic terms, and we will allow that during winter 2020 through summer 2021. Oh, good, I'm taking a class pass, no pass right now. Wait a minute, it's fall 21. We're not taking that pass, no pass anymore. I need you to have in your high school that letter grade back in all of your coursework, please, and thank you. Now, the pass, no pass is not part of your GPA calculation. Mental note, we in the UC application calculate your GPA for you. Oh, I don't have to do the math? No, you don't have to do the math. Next slide. We talk about holistic admissions, but I do need to point out one big thing, and that is that the University of California is test blind or test free. I love doing that. What does that mean? Well, SAT or ACT can't look at it. If you decide to add it, you're more than welcome to do so, but recognize that the application, when you enter an SAT or ACT score, it must actually be the score itself. You can't add a planned test. You can always go back into the application in December if you want to add a score. Well, but the admissions office is going to look at it? No. The admissions office on all 9 campuses by law cannot look at SAT or ACT scores. Well, then why share it? That's up to you, my friends. If you want to share it, you're more than welcome to. I will never know. If you don't want to share it, leave it off because I will never know. Got it? Good. What do I see? Well, as an admissions officer, we see AP and IB and or SAT subject tests if you took them. AP exams can earn you college credit, but note that if you're taking a test in the spring of your senior year, you want to share that planned exam in the application because that I do have access to. Let's keep going. Next slide, you're going to find our admissions review, our holistic review will start with the opportunity to see the academic coursework, those A through G classes. It will continue by looking at what was accessible to you. We will continue by calculating your GPA. We will continue by looking at your activities and awards. The holistic admissions is inclusive of me asking, what did you do outside of the classroom? How did you spend your time? Now, this doesn't have to be formal. So babysitting your siblings while your parents were working from home, doing community service, working in your church, taking, Chinese school at your church. All of that can count in the application when you share it with us. The activities and awards section allows up to 20 to 0 up to 20 activities and awards. And the descriptions of your activities are so critical because we cannot look anything up. I won't look it up. I can't look it up. If you're telling me I'm a distinguished Don, well, does Santa Cruz, does Irvine, does UCLA know what that means? No, and they won't look it up. So add context, do a clear description. Brevity is important in the admissions process. Next slide. So what do you need to know? The admissions process for our freshman applicants will continue to remain open. We do have multiple workshops where we will showcase the application for you. 3 big things I want you to remember. 1, all of the UC campuses use the exact same application, but we don't collaborate with each other. We don't call each other. We don't email each other. That's a myth. 2, the application will tell you if and when a supplement is due. That might be an audition, that might be an invitation to submit a letter of recommendation. UC Berkeley will invite a subset of students, no more than 15% of their applicants, to send a letter of recommendation, but they will email you a link. If you didn't get that link, can you share? Can you? No. Sad. No, it's not sad. Realize that everything in your application is being looked at. 3rd thing you need to know, while you're looking at the application for admission, it's also the application for scholarships. I said it and I'll say it again. If you're looking for that financial aid, it will be looked at through your application. And also your submission of that FAFSA or that submission of the California DREAM Act. Next slide. So I want you to use the resources. I want you to get to know your admissions counselors. All of these links I'll put into the chat box momentarily for you, but recognize that more than 70% of our students will receive financial aid to pay for their UC education. Last thing before I run out of time, there is, for the class of 2022, cohort tuition, which means you are going to be locked in for your 4 years at UC when you see your tuition. It's not going to increase when you're a sophomore or junior. Yes, I know. Exciting, right? Do you have questions? Awesome. Add them to the Q&A box, but maybe you have questions tomorrow. Next slide. Don't hesitate to call or email. You'll find that questions come to us all the time. You can call me directly. I'm UC Santa Barbara's representative, but I'm also the local representative for the county of Santa Barbara for all the UC campuses as you go through your application. And on that note, I hit my 15 minutes. So I'm passing it over to Spencer Barr to tell you a little bit more. Actually, back to Rachel. Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much, Kuka, for presenting on the UC application process. And before we move on to our next speaker, I wanted to remind you to put any of the questions that you may have in the Q&A box. We're here to help you. And if you miss any information, don't worry. A recording of the session will be made available to you. And without further ado, I'll go ahead and introduce Spencer Barr, who will be presenting on the common application process.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining all of us this evening. Hopefully you've been taking notes because people have been talking fast. I'm going to try to slow things down just a little bit, but still a lot to cover about applying to colleges outside the state of California, or also applying to colleges within the state, but in the private side of things. So first thing to pay attention to, there is a huge variety in everything in terms of private and public universities in the United States and international. The size of schools go from a couple hundred to tens of thousands of students. Specializations vary drastically between campuses, between private and public, all shapes and sizes. And also very important to pay attention to the admissions processes for these colleges because they can also vary pretty drastically too. And to add one more variety, cost of attendance can go from fairly low, fairly affordable to some pretty pricey schools out there. So bottom line, a huge variety, and another bottom line, pay attention to the differences in the admissions processes to these. So on the next slide, we're going to take a look at a variety of private schools across the US, basically broken up into 2 buckets. We have our secular private colleges and universities, and then we have our religious colleges and universities. Combine those, you're looking at over 1,600 schools just in the United States alone. And then add in some international options, you have thousands of options worldwide for higher education for you. And then looking at the next slide, we have a variety of public school options nationwide, over 700 of them. And again, going back to the word of the minute, variety, you have some states out there in the US that only have a couple public colleges and a couple private colleges. And then you have some like the state of California, for instance, when you have hundreds of options. So here's just a few examples of some public schools out there. I do want to highlight the bottom of this slide here, the WUI, or Western Undergrad Exchange. Not sure if any of you know, but California has the most amount of high school students of any state in the nation. And so therefore, there are the most graduating high school seniors that need spots at these public and private schools. So there are a lot of states out there that are willing to give you discounts if you're a good student, discounts in terms of tuition to get you to come to their state and come to their school. So definitely take a look at the opportunities through WUI and see what options there are out there for you. Okay, then moving along to the next slide, a very brief comparison between some private university benefits and some public university benefits. On the private school side of things, generally the campuses are smaller. Often, for those of you in the audience that are in high school right now, in a public high school, maybe a couple thousand students, there are quite a few private universities that are the same size or smaller than the high school you're currently attending. And there are also some a little bit bigger, but generally there's going to be fewer students, more individualized attention to you, smaller class sizes. Oftentimes I'm talking with students in a high school setting where I'll say, if you end up at this private university, your class sizes could be 8 to 10 to 15 students. That's it. So pretty small often. And often in terms of acceptance rate, they can be less competitive and less competition at the school system. So take a look at those options. Very strong communities often, because of the size often with the private universities, strong community can be very much part of that, and easy to make connections and access to professors. Scholarships, because private universities can pretty much develop their own funding and often have very large endowments. They can provide a lot of money in terms of merit scholarships and need-based scholarships too. And then strong alumni networks. So those are just a few examples of private university benefits. On the flip side, public university benefits, looking nationwide at all the different states we have and internationally, you could potentially experience very different environments than the one you've grown up in. And so that's a good thing. Experiencing different options is a way to grow. So take a look at those options. Public universities often have larger assortment of student activities and athletics and student organizations. Oftentimes those big public schools could have hundreds of student organizations. So anything you can think of, you can find something for you. Strong school spirit is often a hallmark. If you think of big time sports, you're mostly thinking of larger public universities out there. Diversity on campuses is usually because of the size of schools. Diversity on campus is usually very strong, and then a lot of different options for studying different majors. So those are just a little bit of a comparison between some benefits to private versus public. And then moving on to the next slide. So some considerations. When you are exploring your list of schools and trying to figure out where you're going to apply, looking at private and out-of-state options, there are some considerations you have to think about. So looking out of state or looking at private schools, there are often multiple deadlines where you could apply early or apply regular, or there's this thing called rolling admissions. So make sure you know when you want to submit your applications. Sometimes there's only one, but sometimes there's multiple options for you to submit. So make sure you know about those and know when they are, and know what it means to apply early versus apply regular versus apply rolling. Letters of recommendation. Often at many private schools, many out-of-state public schools, they're looking for letters of recommendation from a counselor, a teacher, two teachers, sometimes even somebody not associated with the school, sometimes a mentor or a family member. So look at those options. That's another way to show the type of person that you are on your applications. Test scores. This was mentioned a couple times related to Cal States and UCs, but out-of-state public schools, private schools, some are still expecting you to take those tests and to submit those tests. Others are optional, where you can submit or not submit. And some are blind, or again, some are required. So make sure you know the campuses you're applying to, what their test policies are for your grade, for class of 2022 or 2023 or moving forward. Supplemental questions. These are generally much smaller questions in addition to main essays that colleges can ask. So make sure you're paying attention to those options. And then sometimes smaller private schools will give you admission interview options. Usually they're not required, but do explore those opportunities. All right, then on next slide, just a real brief, this upside down pyramid about the college search. So you're beginning at the top, you have all these colleges to consider, and these are some options for how to whittle down and take out chunks of colleges. Look at size and location. Look at academic programs that the schools offer. Do they have the majors that you're thinking about? Look at student life. You're going to be in class a pretty small amount of time when you're in college. So you can be out of class a much larger amount of time. So look at the sports options, clubs and organizations. Then definitely look at student supports and opportunities for you, maybe study abroad. And what are the career placement and outcomes for that school? And absolutely consider the money aspect, the financial aid. Look at scholarships. Is the CSS profile required? Are there work study options? Consider all of this. And then at the bottom, once you have that list kind of developed, then look at the admission timeline for the schools you're applying to, the application requirements for the schools you're applying to, because they will vary. So make sure you know all of those. And then lastly, on my last slide, I want to cover just Common App and Coalition are the two main platforms where you're going to apply to out-of-state public schools or out-of-state private schools and in-state private schools. So these are the two main platforms, but there's also individual college applications that are their specific applications. So make sure you know. On that last slide, I mentioned the application timeline and the application platforms. Make sure you know how you're applying to these places. And then we got one last slide moving forward. You want to submit a really strong application to wherever you're going to apply. So you want to be knowledgeable about the school. Sometimes you have the ability to show knowledge of that school, sometimes in supplemental questions. Many colleges out there have an application, which is application review, which is a holistic in nature. So they're looking at not just your grades and your test scores, but who you are as a person, who you are outside of your classes. So make sure you complete all of those sections and complete all of them in depth. Spend some time on them. Be authentic, absolutely proofread, have others take a look at your essays. And bottom line, I use the phrase, you do you or you be you. Don't worry about what you think somebody else wants to see. Put yourself forward. There are hundreds of schools that will love to have you. So have faith and spend some time on your application. And good luck, all of you.
Thank you, Spencer. And a big thank you to all of our presenters. We gained a lot of valuable information today. I hope to see you all in our next panel.
Thank you so much, all of you. This has been fantastic. So just a couple closing words as I wrap us up for tonight. After I close out our session, you are going to be directed to a very brief 5-question survey. So would really appreciate your feedback and thoughts on that so we can continue to grow events like this one and make them better. Would also encourage you sign up for more sessions. So you can find the sign up. There's actually a panel happening in just about 15 minutes. Right after this one, you can find that at the strivescan.com/CalSoap link that's on your screen, as well as find the recordings for this session and all the sessions for today and for tomorrow as well. And with that, again, just one final thank you to all of our attendees as well as our panelists. This was fantastic, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.